Howdy, guys, and welcome to a recap of episode 11 of Survivor Season 42. And welcome to Cliff Notes Broadcasting from a long way away from the Survivor Island. Another busy episode, a lot to talk about. But first, a real quick recap from last week. Remember, we lost Drea. What an amazing player, but we lost Drea, and we're down to our final six. Such a quick season. What are they on night number 19 or so on the island? It's so quick, but we're down to our final six. Now, I thought it was interesting to keep in mind of that final six. We've got four players, four castmates, Lindsay, Marianne, Jonathan, and Omar, who all started off this season on the same tribe. Having two-thirds of the final six. Is that going to make a difference? Are they going to stick together or maybe not so much? We're going to find out this evening. So we did lose Drea. We're down to the final six. We cut as the episode starts to right after Tribal Council. Everyone is coming back from the Tribal, talking about it. Lindsay, very happy that she survived. Remember, she talked about she had a 1 in 3 chance. It's kind of 2 in 3 chances we talked about last week. But anyway, Lindsay survived her do or die random draw situation, which resulted in Dre going home. So she's incredibly happy. But she's also happy for another reason. Remember those three-way amulets that she got way back on day number 1? I thought, was it Hai and Drea and Lindsay? Well, Hai and Drea are gone. There's only one person left with an amulet still in the game, happens to be Lindsay, which means it's not an extra vote. It's not a steal a vote. It's a full-blown immunity idol at this point. So, yeah, Lindsay suddenly has a little extra protection as well because of Dre going home. So she's a little bit happy about that as well. Now, she has to play it at the next tribal idol. If she doesn't, it goes away. So with that in mind, we know at least one player who's going to make it to the final 5, right? Lindsay's, I guess, the first one who's writing her name in the book as a final 5 contestant. But who else is final 5? Well, remember last week, Drea, before she got sent home, had tried to use her knowledge is power to steal away Mike's immunity idol, but Omar had given Mike the heads up on it. Mike handed the immunity idol over to Omar so that Drea couldn't steal it away. Everything worked fine. But here's the rub. Omar still now has that immunity idol. Does he give it back to Mike or does he hold on to it himself? We're going to find out rather quickly. We're going to see what's going on. Now, it turns out that Omar gives the idol back to Mike. Is that a good move? I've gone back and forth on it, and what would I do if I was out there? I think knowing the kind of person that Mike is, maybe not such a bad move, because Mike's the kind of guy that will go out of his way to be loyal and protective of Omar if he feels like Omar has his back. So it should benefit Omar going forward, right? Well, let's talk about that a little bit, because as soon as Omar gives the idol to Mike and Mike says, oh, this isn't just my idol, this is our idol, and they seem all hunky-dory and kumbaya with each other. And as soon as they break away, the next island confessional, we've got Mike thinking that, hey, Omar, I know Omar wants me out. Too many people like me. There's no way Omar wants to go to the final 2. So he wants me out. So ahead of that, I'm going to have to make sure I get Omar out instead. I love it. I absolutely love it. Now, I was a little bit wrong. I thought Mike would have a little more emotional, play with a little bit more loyalty. He didn't do that. He's immediately turning right around and going after Omar. I didn't expect it, but I kind of like it. I love people playing a strategy game, and that's exactly what Mike's doing. So yeah, so much for the Kumbaya relationship. Mike has it in for Omar at this point in time. He wants to go ahead and get him out the door. And with that in mind, we now see Mike actually letting Marianne know that he's gunning for Omar and trying to get her bought into the process as well. And Marianne seems to be going along with it. Marianne saying, look, after this last tribal council, everyone likes Omar, first of all. And now after this last tribal council, Omar, everyone was looking at him. He's the one that did that whole knowledge is power. And suddenly he's got a lot of stuff on his resume. So Marianne is saying, I'm not sure. I'm pretty certain I can't beat Omar if it comes to a final 2 or final 3 in Survivor. So she said, as a result, And I'm okay getting Omar out as well, Mike. Let's do it. And with that in mind, she actually volunteers to Mike that, oh, and by the way, I do have an extra vote that may help us in the process. Well, let's see if it does or not. But yeah, you have these conversations and everything seems so nice and straightforward. And then you cut away and everything changes. Marianne's telling Mike all of this. And then we immediately see Marianne in the next scene sitting around the campfire talking to Omar and Romeo and Lindsay and saying, look, Mike is certain that he's gone. Mike is going to be paranoid that he's out of here, which means he's probably going to use his idol guys this week. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Now let's think about that. We know Lindsay's safe, regardless of what happens. If Mike's feeling paranoid and he uses his idol, who's at threat this week? Who's really riding the edge right now? Seems like maybe it could be bad for Jonathan. Maybe it could be bad for Omar. It just depends who has the power. It depends on what happens with the immunity challenge, obviously, as well. So we're going to find out. But there's a couple of people that better be a little cautious for the rest of this episode. We do have Lindsay. No surprise here. Lindsay's ready for Jonathan to go. She's been ready for the past few weeks. No love lost between these two. I think absolute respect. It doesn't, I don't know. Lindsay was a little perturbed that she didn't think Jonathan was playing much of a strategy game, thinking things through all the way. But from a competition standpoint, these two keep trading first and second places in these challenges. So they both see each other as a competition threat, as a person that's keeping them from winning a lot of competitions for the last little segment of this game. So Lindsay definitely is ready for Jonathan to go. And we've got Mike talking to Jonathan. And it's kind of interesting. Mike wants Omar out. He mentions that to Jonathan, and he mentions that he talked to Marianne about it, but he may have shifted it a little bit and suggested that maybe Marianne's the one that brought up getting Omar out to him as opposed to the other direction. So Mike's trying to put his plan in action, but he doesn't want the blood on his hands. He's trying to get it shifted to Marianne instead. Now, we do have Jonathan also mentioning the fact that he's fine with getting Omar out because he's worried that Lindsay and Omar are tight with each other. They're working together. We know Jonathan would be happy getting Lindsay out. He would have been perfectly happy with Lindsay losing that random draw last week or last night or whatever it was in big Survivor time. He would have been happy to have her go. Didn't work out. But yeah, Lindsay and Omar working together. He's happy to see either one of them go. So with all of the backstabbing and conspiring and meetings and everything else that happens on the island, we get everyone together for the reward challenge. We do have a reward challenge this week. Basically, everyone has a big spool of rope that's wrapped around. They have to unspool from the rope, which always leads to all kinds of funny scenes of people, Marianne especially. Lots of people not able to keep their balance, Marianne in particular. But you have to unspool yourself from the rope. Then you have to go over an obstacle course on the balance beam. You have to lean down, untie some keys while staying balanced. Not easy after you've been spinning around a little bit. Use the keys to unlock some puzzle pieces, solve the puzzle, and the winner gets a reward. The reward this week, you get one of two meals. You either get a meal of chicken and vegetables, or you get sweets. And Jeff Probst says, do you want your proteins and your nutrition, or do you want the calories and the sugar that the sweets provide? It seems like a slam dunk to me that you go for the chicken and the vegetables. That's what the body really needs right now. An easy decision. But as we're going to find out, Jeff makes it a little bit tougher at the end of this thing. So we start the reward challenge. And of course, as I say every week, and of course, Jonathan immediately takes the lead and looks like he's doing pretty good until we get to the puzzle part of the competition. Jonathan's an incredible competition beast. Puzzles, maybe not quite so much. That seems to be his Achilles heel. And it turns out to be the case this week because Jonathan does not win. Omar wins. Omar solves the puzzle and wins. And we know he's going to get to take at least a few someones with him to enjoy whichever meal he chooses. But this is where Probst throws in a little bit of a twist for us. If he takes chicken as his desired meal, he gets to take two people with him. So 3 out of the 6 castmates are going to go eat chicken. If he takes sweets, he gets to take 3 people. So suddenly you now have 4 people that get to eat and 2 people that have to stay back at camp and don't eat anything at all. So there's a little more incentive to go with the calories and the sugar as opposed to the chicken, which has to sound so good to those guys. So Omar thinks about it. And here it's an interesting twist. Do you play politics and get 4 out of the 6 together, which seems like it would make it easier to talk strategy and try to get everyone on board and all of that? Or do you go for the better nutrition that'll help you with your later game and go for the chicken instead? Well, I think Omar plays this pretty well. Omar ends up taking the sweets, which I'd rather have the chicken, but Omar takes the sweets, which means he gets to take 3 people with him. The majority is eating. Now, why I think Omar plays it so incredibly well is because of who he takes to eat with him. He starts off taking Romeo, says, he's never eaten anything. Guy's as skinny as a rail. Yeah, take Romeo. But he also takes Marianne and he takes Mike to eat with him. It's not so much who he takes with him to eat as who he leaves back at camp that I really admire the gameplay from Omar, because the 2 people he's left back at camp are Jonathan and Lindsay. It's so brilliant. First of all, those are the 2 most athletic people left in this competition. You don't want them getting any calories from sugar, proteins from chicken, nothing. You want them hungry. So it's smart to take the 2 most athletic people and leave them behind away from the food. Plus, everyone knows these 2 are going against each other. It's going to be a lot less likely for the 2 of them to try to team up while these other 4 are eating. Of all the people he could have left behind, Jonathan and Lindsay are probably the 2 people least likely to try to work together while they're left behind in camp. So I got to say props to Omar. I thought it was a very strategic, top-notch decision in where he chose to eat, what kind of food he chose to eat, and more importantly, who he took with him. I'm really admiring Omar's play in this thing so far. So they're all eating. Food looks good. Big old cake to chow down into and all of that. I would think after you've gone, what are they? I said day 19, day 20. After you've gone that long with so little food, you got to play a little careful with all the sweets, right? I can picture that giving you quite the bellyache without much effort if you're not careful. But the food doesn't matter as much as the conversations that are taking place while they're eating this food. And we see not just the sweets, but the 2 back at camp. We see Lindsay and Jonathan, and they're both playing the game. They're both trying to convince the other one that Mike is the main target this week, when in reality, they're both thinking they want the other person to go home first instead. Now, here's the thing. I get it. They see each other as a threat, but why couldn't these 2 work together? This would have been a perfect opportunity for Jonathan to talk to Lindsay and vice versa and say, look, we're the 2 biggest threats. As soon as either one of us goes home, the others are probably going to then target the other one of us. They want us both out the door. Why don't we try to work together instead? We've got 4 of the less athletic type players. Let's the 2 of us try to team up against them. If one of us can win immunity, we'll protect each other, and maybe we can help each other get to the end, and it protects us as well. It seems like there would have been an opportunity to try to come to some kind of an agreement. The problem is, to do that, you have to trust the other person, and there's no trust left. There's really no trust left, I think, in just about anyone in this tribe at this point in time. So they don't trust each other enough to actually make a deal of any sort. They spend a lot of time talking to the camera saying, yeah, that person thinks I'm going after Mike, but I'm going after them. And they're both saying the same thing. So we'll see how that turns out. Now, we do have after that, Lindsay, as soon as the rest of the sugar sweets eaters get back to camp, we see Lindsay talking to Mike and saying, look, as long as Mike has one concern at this point in time. Am I safe? Am I safe? Seems like a scene from Marathon Man. Am I safe? Am I safe? If you haven't watched that movie, it's an old movie. Marathon Man does not. But that's all Mike wants to know. And Lindsay tells Mike, says, look, as long as Jonathan doesn't win immunity, I think you're good, because I think we all want Jonathan out the door. Well, Lindsay certainly does. So she's saying as long as he's available to vote out, you're good, Mike. And of course, Mike's response, yeah, but if not, am I safe? So eventually she says, well, your name has been thrown out. You're probably considered the second biggest threat after Jonathan. So yeah, if he gets immunity or something, then we got to be a little more careful about it, which is only going to make Mike a little bit more paranoid at that point in time. And truly, he should be. If Jonathan wins immunity, Omar and Mike probably are the two big targets at that point in time. But we also have Lindsay talking to Mike about the fact that she spills the beans, that she's got this 3-way amulet that has now become an immunity idol, and that she has to play it this episode. So she's telling Mike that. She's saying it to try to help encourage him and steer which way he wants to go, and try to maybe go after Jonathan and all that. I got to think there's a little background as well. If I'm Lindsay, just making sure that he knows that I've got the idol, so that I've got a little more power, a little more control, knowing that there's zero chance that I can get voted out at this point in time, to maybe get him thinking somewhere else, just in case, because we've seen Mike and Jonathan seeming kind of the bromance a little tight with each other. So just in case she feels like he's maybe misleading her a little bit, just let him know, hey, Mike, I got an idol. I'm not going anywhere, so you better start thinking elsewhere. So the end result is she has told him that she now has this idol as well. So we've got that. So we now see that Mike is going to tell Marianne and Jonathan about Lindsay's idol. There's no secrets in this island. There's no secrets in the Big Brother house. There's no secrets in Survivor. It's only a question of how long does it take for the secret to get out the door. So Mike's going to tell everyone about the idol. And we actually do see Mike telling Marianne and Jonathan and really trying to sell them on needing to get out Omar, because he thinks Omar's coming after him. And he's saying that he's telling Marianne that, look, if I need to use an idol on you, I've got it back. If I need to use this idol on you, Marianne, I'm willing to do so. What's mine is yours. I'm here to protect you. We're good. But what he doesn't know, Marianne already has the idol that she just got through finding. I said there's no secrets in Survivor. The only secrets that are in Survivor are the ones that are a secret because you haven't told anyone else at all. And that's the case with Marianne. She hasn't told anyone else, has she? I don't think so. Mike certainly doesn't know about it. Marianne's not volunteering the information. So she's kind of laughing, saying, yeah, he's being this guardian, saying he's going to protect me and all. I'm already protected. I don't need his support right now. I've got an idol in place. So a lot of talk about idols. Let's talk about this idol scorecard. Mike has an idol. Lindsay has an idol. Marianne has an idol. And she's got an extra vote as well. And whoever wins immunity will be safe also. There's a lot of protections that could come into play in this particular episode. We do see Marianne finding out that Lindsay has an idol. When Mike tells her that, Marianne's not happy. I think Marianne felt like she was playing pretty tight with Lindsay. And the fact that now there's this information that Lindsay has that she never told Marianne seems to make Marianne a little less comfortable about how much she can trust Lindsay. So I'm not sure that was Mike's intention when he told her, but quite the way to drive a wedge into another relationship. All right, on to the immunity challenge. This is a huge one. There's a lot of idols out there. There's people that may not need idols, but there are certainly a few that really could benefit from winning immunity this week. And it turns out that, first of all, this immunity challenge, a huge set. I love towards the end of the season, this thing is spread out over a huge beach, and it consists of an obstacle course. You then have to grab, or you have to untie some puzzle steps, gather them up 4 at a time, if I recall. Use the steps to make a ladder or a stairway up to an upper ramp. Took a while. There's a lot of steps. There are 12, 16 steps, it seems like. But eventually put these ladders and they're puzzle pieces with holes in them. Figure out the puzzles as you build the stairway up to the top of the platform. Once you get out there, it's another puzzle, but it's not puzzle pieces. This is actually a ball rolling challenge. Got to roll balls through a little obstacle, land a couple of balls and 2 holes at the end of the thing. I think I'd do okay on this challenge. I don't know why. I just feel like I'd do all right on this challenge. But you have to do that first one to get both their balls landed in the little receptacles on this little ball rolling ramp wins all important immunity and guarantees himself a spot in the final 5. And as I always say, of course, Jonathan takes the lead as this thing takes off. But the lead doesn't last. Yet again, the puzzle part seems to be Jonathan's, I don't know, I was going to say Achilles heel. He actually came close. He came in second place. So close to win this thing, but it didn't work out. The winner isn't Jonathan. The winner is Lindsay. Lindsay now has immunity. She already has this 3-way amulet that's turned into an immunity idol. Lindsay's got a lot of power this particular week. She's got the immunity and the idol. So she's going to give it to someone, right? Otherwise, it just goes away. So who does she give it to? Is Jonathan at this point going home? Certainly seems like he is the biggest target at this point in time. I don't think Lindsay's giving her extra idol to Jonathan. Just don't think that's going to happen. We do have Jonathan saying that he and Mike have decided that they're both going to vote out Romeo. The bromance kind of working together. Worried that the votes are going to go after one or the other of them. The votes may be split. Things like just the typical paranoia you get in camp at this point in the game. So they've both come together and said, we're both voting Romeo. We need to get Romeo out of here. There aren't a lot of targets that we can go after. So Romeo's a choice. Romeo's a perfect choice. They're saying that. Are they really going to do it? That's what's left to be found out. We've got Omar talking to Mike and saying, look, Mike, you got to vote out Jonathan. It's got to be you or Jonathan. And we really think, and if you put your vote towards Jonathan, you can ensure he goes out the door and protect yourself. Make sure you get into final 5. So Omar really is, he talked earlier in the episode about wanting to drive a wedge between Mike and Jonathan because he felt like they were too tight. So he's doing his best to kind of turn them against each other, and he's doing it pretty well. He's telling Mike, you better go after Jonathan, otherwise it could be you. I'm just saying. Meanwhile, we got Lindsay talking about the fact that she's now got these 2 idols, and she's telling Omar, she said, look, you're safe. It's gonna be Mike, or it's gonna be Jonathan. Maybe it's gonna be Romeo, but I'm obviously safe, and you're safe. No one's coming after you. Mike loves you and all that. You're safe, Omar. And here's the thing. If I use the immunity idol, if I give it to you and you play it, it's not going to matter because you're safe anyway. And now, as soon as that idol gets played, it's probably going to come back into play the way the Survivor producers always do. Then we got to worry about finding another idol and maybe someone else gets it. What if I just don't use it at all? Because we know you're safe, right? You don't ever make assumptions in this game. Hey, you shouldn't ever make assumptions, right? But that's what she's thinking she's going to do. I think it's a bad decision for a couple of reasons. One, you never get too confident. But 2, we're down to the very end of this thing. Next week is the season finale. We're going to be down to the final 5. Yes, when an idol is played, normally lots of times you do see it come back into the arena. I'm not sure it happens this late in the season. And even if it does, you got as big a chance as anyone of finding it. So I'm not sure that should really drive your decision making, but it sounds like it may this week, and we'll see how that works out. But we got that. And sure enough, with all that conversation going on, we now see Marianne talking about Omar, who is so safe, according to Lindsay, not going anywhere. And Marianne saying, well, Omar, he is pretty popular, and he did lead last week, and he's got a little bit of a resume. I kind of think maybe I do want Omar out this week. And so Marianne is starting to sell that. But Mike thinks Omar is going to be safe. Mike is convinced that Lindsay will play the idol on Omar so that he'll be safe. And so he wants Marianne to join himself and Jonathan and go after Romeo instead. A bit of an argument. Mike saying, no, she's going to play it. You got to help us out, Marianne. Marianne saying, no, let's make the big. That's what it comes down to. Marianne wants to make the big move that she thinks will work out better for her on down the road. Mike is just in survival mode. He just wants to make it to the next week by the old Sandra Diaz policy. as long as it's not me. And that's what Mike's doing, saying, look, just go for Romeo. Let's get Robert. It's not going to bother anyone if Romeo gets out of here. Just go for Romeo. Marianne's not so sold on that just yet. We really have Marianne taking control in this episode like we haven't seen yet this season. I mean, she's shown little flashes of it, but she's gone full speed, figure this thing out this week. Marianne's taking control. She's telling Romeo that she and he and Jonathan and Mike can all come together to vote out Omar. I think she tells him that she's got the extra vote, which he's happy to hear as well. So she said, look, we got 5 votes. We can vote out Omar and get this all taken care of. She's talking to Mike and Jonathan, and it seems like she's kind of suggesting, look, split the votes between Romeo and Omar, and we'll get out Omar and it'll all be good. Well, she quickly realizes that Jonathan and Mike, neither one have enough trust in Marianne or anyone else in this island to go along with this game plan. They think they're being played a little bit. They want to make it the easy choice and go for Romeo. And I think Marianne's realizing that they're probably not going to be swayed from that particular decision. So she still wants Omar out. I think she's also realizing that that's not the way she's going to be able to get Mike and Jonathan to vote. And that's the thing with all of these plans that are taking place. It takes a certain amount of trust of everyone else in the game. And as I said before, there's not a lot of trust to be had on the island at this point in the game. And again, Mike and Jonathan, they're just worried about surviving one more week. So they want to go after the easy target of Romeo instead of going after the person that may be the biggest threat at the end game in the final 2 or the final 3. So with all the different strategies going on, which one's going to win out? We're going to find out because we're going to tribal council. Now, the shot in the dark still exists. We're told by Probst that this is the last week it can be used. Remember, it's a 1 to 6 chance. If you get it, you're safe no matter what. If you don't get it, then not only are you not safe, but you also lose your vote for the week. So there is some trade-offs on it. But if I'm Jonathan, I think I'm playing that shot in the dark this week because I don't know if Jonathan's vote by itself will make as big a difference as that 1 in 6 chance. Could absolutely protect him because certainly he's got to be worried with Lindsay having the power, with Lindsay already having immunity, with Lindsay having an extra idol hand out. He's got to be worried that he could be the one on the chopping block this week, right? Well, let's see just how worried Jonathan is. And as it turns out, he doesn't play the shot in the dark. He's feeling comfortable enough or not liking his 1 in 6 odds. I'm not sure which it is. But beyond that surprise, I'm absolutely surprised. There's no idols played this week. Mike feels comfortable enough with the situation. He doesn't play his idol. Lindsay feels safe enough that Omar is safe, that she doesn't give that extra idol to Omar. Yeah, I'm absolutely amazed that no idols were played this week, but such is the case. They talk about during the tribal that unless this is a unanimous vote, except for the person going out, which it isn't going to be, if that's not the case, then someone's going to be upset or confused or not in line with the program. And that's the case here. Everyone feels like they're part of the final decision enough that they don't have to risk anything extra, it sounds like, in playing that idol. Someone's going to be surprised. Someone's going to be a little disappointed, and we're going to find out right now because Jeff Probst starts reading the votes, and we find out that the first 6 votes, there's 6 people voting, but there may be an extra vote out there from Marianne. The first 6 votes, 2 votes for Jonathan, 2 votes for Omar, 2 votes for Romeo. So we got all these plans coming into play at the same time. And sure enough, there is one more vote that's been cast, and that vote was cast by Marianne. And the final vote, Marianne, with her 2 votes, has succeeded in voting out Omar. No, Omar was one of my favorites. I've been propping that guy. I've been cheering for him. I've been promoting him the whole time. I've loved Omar's game so far. It came to an end. Omar is heading out the door. He takes it well. Now here's the thing. It's not that the whole rest of the tribe turned against Omar. It was 2 people. Marianne cast both her votes for Omar. Romeo cast his vote for Omar. Two people are responsible for sending Omar out the door. As expected, Jonathan and Mike both voted for to send Romeo out, which leaves then Omar and Lindsay both voting to send Jonathan out. Yeah, that's how it works out. Yeah, but it really has to do with Marianne this episode. Marianne, certainly the star of tonight's episode. She's the one primarily responsible for planning this thing and making it happen. And Omar is out the door. Now, Omar and Lindsay were tight. They were working together. What happened? Lindsay had two idols. She didn't even play one of them. I think she got too tricky, too confident in the way the game was being played. Yeah, I understand you don't want to have another idol out there. But well, I feel like it comes into play. One in the hand is worth two in the bush or whatever. You know, if she got the idol, play it. She should have played it. Omar would have been safe. If she'd done that, then it would come down to Jonathan and Romeo as the two remaining votes. And I have a feeling Jonathan probably would have gone home. Lindsay would have achieved just what she was seeking. She just got a little too confident in the way this tribal was going to go. She doesn't pay the price, doesn't pay the price, at least this week. Now, down the road, she may pay the price as well, but Omar certainly paid the price. And as I said, Marianne's a star tonight. Marianne played this a little bit like the sport of judo. Martial arts judo, if I understand it correctly, you don't try to resist other people that are trying to use their power and momentum against them or against you. Instead, you take what they're throwing at you and you use that to your own advantage. And, you step out of the way, you lean down, you flip them with their own momentum, things like that. I feel like Marianne did the same thing this week. She realized that Mike and Jonathan were not going to change the way they wanted to vote. They were going to vote for Romeo no matter what. Once she knew that, she knew how they were going to vote. She figured out a way to make it happen even without having to rely on their vote. She got Romeo bought in. She still managed to get the vote split up enough that she could succeed and get Omar out the door. The star of the show, Marianne, she plays the game with a passion, but she also plays it with a little bit of strategy as well. She's shaking up this game, and I'm all for it. So congratulations to Marianne. Condolences to Omar. Man, I was cheering for you, my friend. Yeah, I liked Omar. We're down to the final five, and next week is a season finale. Who's going to win this thing? I really feel just about anyone. My long shot has got to be Romeo. I'm not sure he's got quite the resume of everyone else to win this thing. Certainly Mike, being the old guy, I continued cheering for Mike a little bit. I'm cheering for all of them. Jonathan is the competition beast. Marianne has certainly proved her worth at this point in time, and Lindsay's come on strong as well. They're all just, they're all fantastic players. So it's going to be a fun finale next week. I'll be back next Wednesday for another recap, the final recap of season 42. Until then, guys, y'all have a great one. I love the episode this week. I will see y'all next Wednesday. SKD 143. Cheers, my friends.